The Sportsocracy.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene here with you on the Sportsocracy. Heard everywhere on the iHeartRadio app, seen everywhere at thesportsocracy.com. We've had head coaching hires. We've already talked about Nathaniel Hackett being the new head coach of the Denver Broncos. Matt Eberflus as the head coach of the Chicago Bears.
There's a name I'm not really looking forward to having to say for the next 2 years until he gets fired.
Eberflus? Because it's difficult to say?
It is.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it doesn't
roll off.
It doesn't
the tongue.
floose very well off of the tongue. But we've got rumors all over the place about who's going to be taking these next jobs or the rest of the open jobs. And the Jacksonville Jaguars have their man, we believe, but he's making demands.
Depends on who you believe.
Yeah, the report is that Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, of course, former quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, is interested in this job. He's had an interview already. Has he already had the second interview? Okay, I remember them saying he was going to have the second, but I couldn't remember if he had it or not. But apparently the reports are that he wants the job, but not if Trent Baalke's around.
And I have said this for weeks, that Byron Leftwich wants this job. Now, here's what I didn't tell you. There were a slew of candidates that refused to interview with the Jaguars because of Trent Baalke. He is one of the most contentious people you will ever deal with. I've never laid eyes on the man, but I can tell you from people that have. Do you happen to know where Trent Baalke started his career?
San Francisco?
With the New York Jets.
Oh, of course he did.
What team am I most connected to in the NFL?
The Jets.
The New York Jets. I genuinely have never communicated with a person that had a positive word to say about him. Now, let me ask you another theoretical. What do you think Trent Baalke's record is as a GM across 3 head coaches?
I'm gonna say it's under 500, but barely
59-67. And now I need you to understand that 2 of those were 10-plus win seasons with Jim Harbaugh.
Yes.
I
knew that
Jim
would skew
Harbaugh
it a little
away,
bit.
And he's been a disaster. An absolute abject disaster. And he's a jerk, and he's tied to Urban Meyer. I understand that it was an arranged marriage. I get it. This is the easiest thing in the world to figure out. And for some reason, Shad Khan cannot figure these things out. What is the purpose in keeping him? I didn't understand it when you promoted him.
I have no idea.
Why? So, best case scenario, Urban Meyer was running everything when you had one of the most confusing drafts I've ever seen, where you got thrown into a tailspin because the Giants took Kadarius Toney at 20, which ultimately led to you taking a running back, which was the strongest position on your roster, at 25 and Travis Etienne, who didn't play a snap. Now the rubber's met the road. Do you know who the alternative is? If they refuse to hire to fire Trent Baalke,
I don't know.
who's the worst name I could say right here?
The worst name you could say?
I have
right
this
here?
on super good authority. That if it's not Byron Leftwich, it's the name I'm getting ready to say.
I have no idea.
It's Vic Fangio.
Oh my!
It's Vic Fangio. And do you know why? Because no one wants to work with Trent Baalke.
Right.
No one.
Right.
So now you've got this potential arranged marriage of 2 guys that want to work together, are on the same page, can tutor your young quarterback, are revered around the league. In Buccaneers offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich and Cardinals executive Adrian Wilson, who would be the new GM.
Yes. Because
this is the easiest thing to figure out in the history of time. You asked me earlier if that was normal for a candidate to ask that. The answer to that is no, not really. Because if that was a problem, you wouldn't have interviewed for it. So the fact that he did interview for it tells me 2 things. One, he really wants this job, which, if you're Jacksonville, should mean the world to you.
Indeed.
And 2, he actually thinks they'll do it.
Well, he should. He should think they'll do it.
Nothing Shad Khan has ever done would make you think he's going to make the right decision.
Well,
this is a guy that owns a pro wrestling organization.
I understand what you're saying, but I mean, the relationship between Shad Khan and Trent Baalke, I don't think it's been on the best footing.
It has been forever. He's been the favored guy in the organization.
Really?
That's how he's still here. They've wiped out everything from the Urban Meyer era except one thing. Because Shad Khan is comfortable with him.
Right.
Now, if you believe Mike Jurecki, who I do, longtime Arizona Cardinals reporter, he says it's already done. That Adrian Wilson is already the new GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars. They just haven't announced it yet.
Okay.
And now I'm going to tie that into what I've heard forever. Byron Leftwich is going to be the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes. I don't think there was any way getting around that. It just kind of shocked me and I saw a lot of this response on social media as well of who does this guy think he is? He's a head coach, first-time head coaching, in the league, and he thinks he can come in and make these types of demands. Well, yeah, because he's the guy that wants the job.
Of course he does. Because this is a clown organization to the point of your fan base wore clown outfits to your last home game.
Right. It should tell you everything you need to know as the owner. Somebody said in the comments that he should have asked for Shad Khan to be fired. Well, that's not how this works. You can't call for the ownership to change because you come in. But you can very well go to that guy and say, I would love to take your job. I am invested in the success of the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise, but we can't do it with this guy. I don't think that's too far to go.
It's not. And the only thing that gives me pause for concern is that this is an organization that has historically not done the right thing. After Let's Get Weird, I'm going to say what it is about Jacksonville that makes me nervous and why this is the only move you can possibly make.
On the weird scale, there's Vegas, there's Florida, and there's Asheville. Let's get weird, Asheville.
All right, now comes the time where I tell on myself. I know nothing about cars. I know absolutely nothing about cars. On the last show I worked on over on 570 WWNC, we had a soundbite that we used to play all the time because, I can't help anybody. If you're stranded on the side of the road, I'm no good to you. I will come up and just go, did you check the manifold? Because I know nothing.
Yeah, that's actually the line he always goes to. Have you checked the What's real fun is when he asked me that about my computer.
Right. Like, I don't know any of this stuff. But forever, growing up, I was told that when it's cold outside, what do? Before you drive away,
turn the heat on.
You turn the car on. You got to let it run for a while. You got to let it warm up before the car gets going. You know that's not a thing?
Yes.
I didn't know that was not a thing. And I found this article, and I feel like I needed to share it with all of the other car idiots out there like me. That no, the AAA says that's not a thing. Like, apparently it used to be a thing in older cars, which it gives me the excuse to still do it in my car because it's ancient.
There you go.
But that no, you don't have to do that. Newer cars don't need to do that. Older cars do. It's something to do with the breaker point ignitions and all of that, like the gas and the air mixture needed to be warmed up to help the engine go.
I love that he's reading this off a screen and still ended it with thing. The gas brake engine thing.
Yeah, whatever a breaker point ignition is, you used to need to do that, but cars 15 to 20 years newer, you don't have to do that anymore. I've been lied to my entire life.
Oh, see, I'm a house cat. If you know where I live, you could steal my car before I leave for work every single day because I start it and then I take my little house cat self right back into the house where it's warm.
Well, that's not safe.
My wife's an insurance agent. That car, like me, is worth more dead than alive. I promise you.
Mine's not.
In this segment, I regularly say don't do crimes. And this is a crimes that gives me a question.
Okay.
And I'm going to post this on our social media after the show. Surprise, surprise. Where do you think this emanates from? What state do virtually every one of my stories come from?
Florida.
A Florida man. His name is Martin Jose Alvarez. He did crimes. He was at a Waffle House.
Okay.
Which, if you've ever listened to this show, you know that my take on this is it might as well have said Florida man Martin Jose Alvarez was intoxicated, sitting in a Waffle House. Well, apparently as his food was cooking, he became a little perturbed and screamed out, "You better cook the blank bacon right." Which immediately made me ask the question, what is the wrong way to cook bacon? How do you cook bacon in the not correct way? It's all good. If you like it crispy, if you like it wispy, anything short of eating it raw is the right call.
Chewy. I needed a little chewy.
Anyway, according to Local 10 News, officers showed up to the Waffle House, and Alvarez was unleashed and screaming at the staff over how they were cooking his bacon. Police told Alvarez it was time to get out of there, which apparently he was not fond of, until they said, "We will tase you if you don't leave." At that point, he decided that his bacon was not that important and was taken to the Lee County Jail. Hey, you got arrested over bacon.
Now, if somebody had stole my bacon, that's a different story.
He didn't even get the bacon to the plate.
There is
no way to make bacon.
That is the rule number one. You never get arrested before you get the bacon.
It is pigskin happiness, okay? Don't burn it, because burnt bacon is gross. Like everything else, don't burn it.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, win. It's a win. Oh, it's a little undercooked, it's a little bitty. Win. Is it good and crispy? Better win.
Oh, you're a crispy bacon guy?
I don't really care. As long as it's not burnt, I don't care. Or raw. I don't want to lick the pig. So please don't not cook it.
Right.
I need it to hit some form of heat.
Right.
As long as it changes color, I don't really care how it ends. Are there people that are really that picky about bacon?
I mean, I guess. I mean, if I'm making it at home, I'd much rather it be on the medium rare side than to be on the well done side. I'm not a big fan of crispy bacon, but I'm not going to be picky about it, and I'm not going to complain about it. If you're making bacon, I'm in. I don't care what shape it's in, as long as it ain't, black and crumbly.
Here's my thing. When people say, "I'm making bacon, do you want any?" My first question is not, how did you cook it? It's usually, how much of it do you have?
Right. How much can I have?
Can I eat without you getting angry at me? That's like asking somebody, how would you like your happiness?
Mm-hmm.
Would you like it to be super happy or just medium happy?
I do ask, though. If I'm cooking bacon for other people, I have to ask.
I don't ask squat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm doing? Making bacon. You know what you're not going to do? Complain about it.
Oh, they will. There are plenty of people that will complain if your bacon is a little, as it was said in the comments here by Jason Trump, a little limp.
It's like when people ask me, "Do you want a beer?" My first question is not, "What kind is it?" Because my favorite beer is the next one. You're giving it to me. I'm going to consume it.
Right. Unless it's Guinness, and then I'm not in.
Yeah, I can't do that. I don't need a chocolate milkshake beer, and I don't want to do that even a little bit. Or hot. I can't do hot.
No.
I mean, I can do kind of hot. And it also depends on how many cold ones I had before that. But that's we're picking nits now.
Right. Are we talking about 4:30 in the afternoon on the beach? The cooler's been sitting there all day, and oops, somebody left it open.
Oh, if it's 4:30 on the beach, the fact that I know where I am is we are doing much better than we could have been doing.
I was trying to hit my bell, but it's not working.
Oh, did you break your bell there, ham hands?
I think I did. I think I broke it because it's stuck. It's not doing anything. There it goes.
You got the broken one because I use the bell more often.
Oh, did you switch them out?
I didn't on purpose, but I'm not against it.
Okay. All right, so let's get back to Jacksonville Jaguars here. What is it that concerns you about the Jacksonville Jaguars moving forward?
I have a funny feeling. And now, understand, I firmly believe that Adrian Wilson's going to be the new GM of the Jaguars. And I think Byron Leftwich is going to be the new head coach.
Okay.
If you told me there was an impediment, because today is our 2-year anniversary of doing this show. And in the 2 years that we've done this, I have learned one thing. if you look at where the sources come from, it's very telling as to who's putting this out there. The Vic Fangio thing, I could argue, is coming from Byron Leftwich's people.
Ah, to rile up the fan base.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Of, hey, Shad Khan, do you need me to hit you in the head with this? Go to Twitter and search Byron Leftwich. There are a lot of tweets that I can't say on this show because this is abundantly obvious. And what Jacksonville has to do is not what the Bears just did, because your whole franchise depends on one player. The whole franchise.
Yes.
Your number one, no doubt, home run swing quarterback, because these kids just don't come along that often. And if you screw this kid up, who was as practically can't miss as they come, I hate that term, but still, there's going to be a stink on that for a long time. This is not Blake Bortles. This is not Blaine Gabbert or any of the slew of quarterbacks they've had over the years. This is a kid you could not screw up. And now you're telling me this comes down to I can have a hotshot coach who has worked with Tom Brady, who played for this franchise and brings back memories of days gone by, with a hotshot GM that wants this job. Or I can have a retread schmuck of a GM with quite possibly the worst head coach I've seen in the NFL in the last 10 years.
Aside from the one that they just fired.
Again, that's the second time you've done that to me today. You're right.
Yeah.
But I have washed that out of my head.
Okay.
It didn't even happen.
I'm sorry.
This is not that hard. Oh, but Byron Leftwich has not proven anything in this league. That's how bad of a franchise you are. That a guy who has never been a head coach, that could actually incite your fan base and actually be really good for your young quarterback, they have the right to make demands. As big a train wreck as you have been, they have the right to make demands. And I have this on very good authority. Byron Leftwich is not going to bend on this. If Baalke's in, he's not.
Oh, yeah.
And the problem, they don't have an alternative.
Because nobody wants the job.
Brian Dabo flat out said, nope, not going to do it.
Yep.
And he's not the only one. You could get into a dangerous territory, of which I would argue Vic Fangio is a dangerous territory, but in a hurry, you have to do this. This is not a, oh, what do I want to do? What? You have to do this.
I agree. Who do you think is the next one? What's the next domino that's going to fall? Is it Brian Dabo to the Miami Dolphins?
I don't know. I was completely set that I knew what was going to happen in Miami until I heard a report today. I think this came from Ian Rappaport. The Dolphins have 3 finalists. Brian Dabo is one of them. Mike McDaniel from the San Francisco 49ers is one, and Kellen Moore is the other. Apparently, the brain trust of the Miami Dolphins want whoever this coach is to retain most of the defensive staff. I'm not sure Brian Dabo is going to go for that. He's been pretty measured on what job he was going to take. I don't know that he goes for that.
Yeah.
I had not heard that until today. And that makes me think it's way more likely that it's Kellen Moore. Could be Mike McDaniel, but I don't know how you're going to sell that. I mean, I think he's a brilliant guy. I've heard him talk.
His press conferences are fun.
He's a very bright kid.
Yeah.
He also would no doubt win the record of smallest NFL head coach ever.
Right.
Mike McDaniel, I was the same size as him once. 5th grade was a lot of fun. He's 5'8", $135.
Yikes.
That is the smallest coaching candidate I have ever seen, but he's so bright.
Right.
And that would make sense. Your defense had improved towards the end of the year, and you've got one of these guys that haven't necessarily been in the league that long. Kellen Moore's only been in the NFL a few years. Well, most of the staff that he's worked with, you wouldn't necessarily want. Dan Quinn's staying in Dallas, so you're not going to get a lot of defections there, I don't think.
Right.
Mike McDaniel, a lot of that San Francisco staff just went to the Jets when Salah left. Those two would make more sense. And I don't have any insight on that at all. I've been told it's Dabo. But now I'm starting to read tea leaves going, maybe there's one of these guys that's just blown them away, and that's who ends up being the next coach of the Dolphins.
It does strike me as a little strange that, you wouldn't give the head coach that kind of power, but I can also understand it from a standpoint of your first-time head coach. We already have a good staff. We just want to add you into the mix of it.
Oh no!
What?
Oh, I saw this in the comments, but I didn't read it right the first time. We have two breaking newses, and they're both funny.
Who's gonna break the news? Who's gonna break the news? Who's gonna break the news? Who's gonna break the news?
The USFL has named its two newest head coaches.
I saw one of these. It's great.
Which one did you see?
The one that used to be in the state.
That would be Larry Fedora, who is the new head coach of the New Orleans Breakers.
Yeah.
The Michigan Panthers have hired their coach as well. You don't know what I'm about to say,
No, I don't. I have no clue.
It's Jeff Fisher.
All right.
It's hard to miss on a USFL hire. And I could argue you did it 2 times in the same day.
Oh, man. No faith in Jeff Fisher anymore?
Oh, no.
No.
I've said this before. I've never seen a coach that went from way up high to way down low faster than Jeff Fisher.
Yeah.
I used to think he was the best coach in the NFL.
I don't know. Larry Fedora, he kind of fits that narrative as well.
I never thought Larry Fedora was a great coach. I used to watch him and go, this is not replicable, right? Like, the more time goes on, the easier this is to figure out. And then they did.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the other candidates that you went, nope, got to lock up Larry Fedora and Jeff Fisher?
Bud Kilmer.
I was going to say the assistant coach in The Waterboy.
The Cajun one?
Yeah.
You like the what?
That is the only thing I got.
No, that's not the only thing you got. You know what else you got? You got 5 on it.